that was fun watching. So yeah, I'm sure everybody who's a Barca fan enjoyed that. But yeah, we're back again to just share the immediate thoughts from the game, and hopefully take some questions from all of you if you're there, and also hear from you. So Tom, how did you find that?
That was quite a game, and I loved it. Obviously, I loved it. 5 goals. It feels like we've been here on live stream so many times with Barca scoring so many goals, and it feels absolutely amazing to me. And we've said this before as well. Coming off of the international break, it's always going to be difficult, right? So it's going to be okay. What kind of Barca do we see? But this Barca, Flex Barca, seems to be, doesn't care about the international break.
Immune.
We're just immune. We just come back, and we do our business as usual. And to be fair to the squad, this was, as we said in our podcast, Dev, this was kind of a banana skin type of game because your mind is already probably on Bayern or Real Madrid, and Sevilla on paper should not be a threat. We said as much. They should not be a threat, and they were not a threat. But to be fully mentally in the game and fully ready for this game and actually, do the business and then move on, that's the big part. Because often what you have is you have these games where you feel like you can just do the job on autopilot, on the cruise control, and then you slip on a banana peel. So I'm very happy that this didn't happen today. And obviously 5 goals, Gavi returns, we rotate the team. It's just so many things, and you said it during the game as well. It feels good being a Barca fan at this moment,
Yeah, man.
and we're just enjoying this, and I love that we are here now after suffering for years. We are actually feeling joy.
we, we can enjoy again. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
guys, go tell your friends, family, and everybody that is just as nice to enjoy this because most of the fan base hasn't for the longest time. And it's not that
Mhm.
we'll win every game; we'll lose. It's fine, but
Yeah.
still, just this way that we are playing the whole philosophy or just it was insane, and that's what you enjoy because you want to sit down in front of the TV and or whatever, and you just want to watch the team play. And I didn't feel like that last 2 3 years, but this I do. I definitely did. Yeah, it was a stoic 0-1 that we did, and great. But this is fun, and that's what football is. It's entertainment. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, we do talk tactics, we do lots of stuff, but ultimately it's entertainment. It's fun. So if you are having that, nothing like it. And this was proper fun all through the way. So what did we start with? So many things to talk about. Ansu played the whole game. Wasn't
Yeah.
bad. Wasn't good. Pablo Torre is scoring goals this season and quite interesting goals. Didn't think that would happen, but that's happening. Lewandowski, obviously, so much better in his combination play, hold up play, link up play, finishing,
Mhm.
just like a new
Mhm.
player altogether. The first penalty, maybe a little bit soft. I didn't feel like it was a penalty, whatever. So I was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, where do you want to start, Joe?
What do I want to start? Let's go with Fati then. Let's go with Fati for a second. So when the lineup was announced and we saw the change that Fati was going to come in instead of Eric, there were some questions on the timeline. Oh, is Fati going to play in the midfield as a number 10 or something? And even in the pre-match graphic that you see on TV, they put Fati as the number 10. I was like, there's no way that's going to be true, right? And I think now we have the absolute answer to the question of where is Fati going to play when he plays. He's going to be a left winger, but left winger on paper that kind of plays in the half space. That's more tucked in, that's more closer to the goal, that's more narrow. So not a wide winger dribbler type of thing that we said as much. And now we do have the confirmation that when Fati plays, if he plays a full game, if he plays 20 minutes, what not, I think it will be the left wing. It will be the left wing, and that's what it's going to be. Van Lee, I don't think he's finished. I think he looked exactly like you would expect because what he's missing at the moment, I think, is purely just match sharpness. The things that you saw from Fati being late for challenges, just the ball not sticking to his feet, his just mistiming passes and movements, and not knowing what to do at certain times. I think most of that is just lacking that game time. I think most of those issues are improved with game time. That said, Is he a player right now, like at this moment, that comes in and makes a difference? Probably not. Probably not, because it will take him a while to get that match sharpness ready. So I would say that's kind of the issue, but the whole question or discussion, whatever it was around his best position or position that he's going to play at Barca, if he plays and when he plays, I think that's been solved now, at least in my mind. I don't
Um,
know how. How did you see the game? Fati.
I am much more stoic than you, and much more.
I know, yeah, yeah, I know.
No, I don't think he'll get an easier chance to score than that goal he missed at the, I think, the header that he missed.
Oh, the header, yeah,
It was just
yeah.
a sitter out.
Shame.
So that
Mhm.
really shows that, when things don't happen, they don't happen. Like Pablo Torre comes in, he scores a goal out of nowhere, two goals out of nowhere. You don't really expect it. That's the thing about scoring. Like when it happens, and when it doesn't happen, you keep trying, it doesn't happen, and that's what's happening with Fati. I mean, in the last
Mhm.
game, he had a couple of half chances or whatever, couldn't convert. This game, same thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I see Van Lee's point that yes, he was there, he was involved in the game. It wasn't that he was playing bad; he was playing good. He
Mhm.
did all the things right. But did he, to your point, Dom, did he make that difference? No. Now, should we blame him for that, or should, again, people already feel that we are very negative and we are always, criticizing everybody? That's not the point. I think he was good. He just didn't do what he's supposed to do. Maybe he will, to
Maybe,
keep the
yeah.
positivity alive. Maybe we just keep giving him chances. His confidence comes back, and then in a game, suddenly something will come alive, and then you will see that person that you all want to see all the time. But today it wasn't that day, and that's okay. That's fine. The team didn't need him. Could had enough firepower to get by without. But the fact that he got those 90 minutes, I'm happy about that. But did he do enough? Don't know. Will he get the same chance against Bayern and Madrid? Don't think so.
No,
With all the
probably not.
players waiting in the wings, and for if he has to resurrect himself, he has to be on the starting pitch in those games, and he's not there yet. So that's basically what Ansu Fati has to figure out. But for today, it's fine. We didn't need him. He tried his best, and maybe he could have had a goal, but those things happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he has to play, but when he does get the chance, he has to take it with both hands. He just has to make the most out of it. That's always going to be there, because this Barca squad, as Flick had said, this Barca squad is quite competitive. There's so many players that are performing in a high level now, that getting into the starting lineup is very difficult, especially for someone like Fati, who's obviously struggling with his confidence as well, and then he's also not match sharp. So when he does play, he's not at his best, which is it's normal. It's not like, okay, this shouldn't be happening. Yeah, it should be happening, because he's not playing regularly or at all, for that matter. So yeah, from that perspective, I get that, but also, yes, he needs to make the most out of these games, because this game in particular, that was the big one for him. But he gets like a lot. He gets a lot of minutes now, and this is good
And
for
that's
him
a good
overall.
thing.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
that's
good
okay.
thing.
He's
A good
getting
thing.
minutes, which is great,
Mm,
and maybe he continue getting minutes. But as long
mhm,
as he doesn't convert these minutes into something, he won't get more than this, and that's where he needs to be. That's his ceiling.
mhm,
I still think that he can be a good player. Anyway,
mm,
let's talk about Pablo Torre. Though he has been surprising me. Like he's not there consistently. He was definitely not there in the equation last year, but he came back and
mhm,
been using him, and he's been effective. Like he's been scoring goals here and there. He comes in, pops in with two goals, disappears.
mm.
It's fine. John,
Yeah.
what do you make of him? And it's a question is, yeah, is Pablo Torre ahead of Fati? He has the same GA as Pedri and Rodrigo. Won't know about the GA, probably when you're right, haven't seen the data. Is he ahead of Fati? Right now, yeah, I would say yeah. In terms of efficacy, for sure, he's ahead of Fati. Is he a better player than Fati or whatever, or is he a ceiling raiser? All I can't say all that, but for now, he's definitely ahead in the way things stand as of today. Tom.
I think they're both kind of very, very deep down the hierarchy, because now you have Gavi coming back, you have Frankie coming back, you have Fermin coming back. Pablo Torre is not going to see much game time. I don't think, unless Barca are cruising and they're like 4 goals up, as was the case today, and then you already have your subs on the pitch and you want to rotate even more, then Pablo Torre comes in. But I don't think a Pablo Torre will displace any of our current midfielders. Like he won't be ahead of Olmo, he won't be ahead of Pedri or Gavi now that Gavi's back, most likely, unless Gavi is still probably will be still a bit shaky and still a bit not ready. But I think once the squad is fully fit and healthy and match sharp, I don't think that Pablo Torre is going to displace any of the current starters or the next immediate subs for those starters. That said, yes, to your point, Dev, yeah, he scored goals. So he does seem to do that, and I feel like that's when you're going to notice Pablo Torre the most. I think when it comes to the rest of his overall play, he has certain elements that are good, certain elements that I like. His pocket play is good. He can be someone to recycle possession quickly, but at the same time, he's not going to be a standout. I don't think he's going to be a standout player. When you sustain that pressure, when you're actually needing a difference make, I don't think he's going to be there unless he scores or assists some outrageous goal. I don't think you're going to notice Pablo Torre that as much. So I good squad player for this particular moment, but I don't see him as anything more than that. He might develop more. I don't know. I mean, he's kind
But
of
we do need squad players, don't we, Tom?
you do need
Especially squad
squad
players who
players.
can come in, score a couple of goals and
Eh,
just go and sit
I
on the
mean, if he
line.
can do that consistently, like be that player off the bench that will score us goals, I don't think he will. I mean, I wouldn't bet on him scoring that many goals throughout the season, from now until the end of the season. Maybe I'm wrong because everyone seems to be scoring goals in the club. So
Everybody, please know this. This time it's Dom who is more critical than I am. All right? Keep that in mind when you close the comments. Okay, let's go.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't see the magic that is Pablo Torre just yet. I mean, great goals. So sure, he scored goals, so that matters. Obviously matters. But yeah, those goals did come when we were 3-0 and 4-0 up. So I think it kind of it's fun to see that. It's good to see that, but also not as important to the overall bigger picture at this moment, I think. So yes, great goals. He did have moments. Do I think that will
Hey, we got 5
continue?
goals because of him. Fine. I'm
I
happy
know.
with him.
I know.
Go
I
Pablo
know.
Torre. All right, let's talk about
Um,
offside because I think he's saving more goals for us than our goalkeeper is. That's
mm,
64, I think, counting. I think 2 goals that were disallowed today, and then one finally. I'm so happy they got that one. And I think we were at the half line, and literally, I think we were above the half line when
mhm.
we counted that goal. So yeah, it's been working, but we have been saying that one day it will not work, and today it did
Yeah.
not work, and it may not work against the likes of Madrid and Bayern, and then it can get very ugly very fast. And some people are raising the same point here as well. Question is, do they have players who can run behind? Yes and no. Madrid definitely has. Two, will Inigo and Kubasi and the whole team be able to hold that discipline and keep doing what they have been doing consistently? That's a question.
Mhm.
Um, and in case that doesn't come off, I don't think Flick's going to change his philosophy. So he's going to play that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dom, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Flick won't change. He won't change that, especially not now for Bayern and Real Madrid. It's way too early, and it's the first Clasico, it's the first clash with Bayern, and he won't adapt as much. Although I think he should. Now, someone said in the first 15 minutes, yes, exactly. So what we saw from Barca, we saw the usual pressing structure that we always see. Wingers stuck in. Dev says zone 14.
I
Uh,
will.
yeah. So wingers like tucking in, pressing from outside in, and then Lewandowski and the midfielder on the pivots. If we go in with that structure into Bayern on Wednesday, and Bayern used Neuer as the third center back to outplay that, we are in a world of trouble. And there was a couple of moments against Sevilla even
Yeah,
where when they outplayed that press,
yeah.
and it didn't seem like a tough job to do at some points. That when they outplayed that press, the whole right flank was empty. There was not a single Barca player there, and Sevilla could just run with the ball. Now they have the tools to hurt us. That's what we said on our preview on the podcast, that they do have the tools to hurt us, Sevilla, but they don't have the quality to really capitalize on it. And that's exactly what happened tonight as well. So they did get a chance. They did get
They
the
knew what
profile.
to do.
Yeah, exactly. They had the profiles in the right positions. They had the profiles doing the right things. The quality wasn't there. The quality wasn't there to punish what Barca were doing wrong. And there were a couple of things that Barca were doing wrong. And I think if we don't adjust our press to this Bayern team, because Bayern, what they do is they will spread the center backs very, very wide, and Neuer will come in as a third center back, and then Neuer is like light years away from any ball playing goalkeeper that is in La Liga. Probably not everyone. I'm exaggerating, but that's the reality that we're facing. We're facing a ball playing goalkeeper in a team that does have a structure in place for the build up play, right? So they will have no issues accessing the space behind their fullbacks with a simple chip, or maybe Kimmich drops deeper, maybe Musiala drops deeper. They relay the ball, third man run, done. The press is gone, right? So what I think the Barca should do, they should adapt the press a little bit. If you saw our big preview for the Bayern game, guys, it's on YouTube, it's on Twitter, so do check it out. We talked about this. Barca would have to somehow adjust to this, because we have seen against Girona, for example, where Flick adjusted his pressing shape and he had Lewandowski a bit higher up. He had Rafinha on the goalkeeper. Lewandowski would push up to the center back, and then he had Lamine kind of drop deeper on the fullback. So maybe in that sense, you can somehow press Neuer. You can press Upamecano and Kim, who are good on the ball, but at the same time they have these errors in them, right? So that's what you can capitalize on. So that would be kind of my little rant there, Dev, because yes, this is all good and dandy when it works, and when it works against La Liga teams, against Sevilla and all those stuff. But Bayern will know how to exploit this, and they have the quality to they have the tools, but they have the quality as well. What we saw so far in La Liga, we saw teams that had the tools but not the quality. But now we're facing a team that has both, and that could prove to be a bit more problematic. Let's say. That said, before I pass it on to you, Dev, I am fully confident that we can take Bayern. I'm confident. I am. I don't usually say that as much, but I just bring it on. I want to face them as soon as possible. Just
All right.
smack them
Coach
around.
Charles says that there is no system that won't allow your opponents any option of getting chances. We need to stop overthinking. You can't play high press and low defense. So we need to chill. I agree with you, Curtis. We need to chill. Even if we lose, that's fine. Hansi is not going to change himself. He's going to play that high line. We just hope that we play our natural game and we win. And if we don't win, we don't win. It is what it is. Now, he's the coach. We got to trust him. And from everybody who has seen Hansi Flick, throughout his tenure, he's not going to change his philosophy. He's not going to suddenly go on a mid block because it's Bayern. He's going to hold that high line, and if Bayern are able to beat that trap, they are able to beat that trap, and with their quality, they'll finish better than most of the teams that we have faced. And it is what it is, and we'll have to face that when that happens. Same thing goes with Madrid. But with this setup that we have, we are going to create chances against Bayern and Madrid too, without a doubt. We'll create lots of chances. We can score goals. We have goal scorers galore across the team. So even Stevens, yeah. But yeah, that fear will be there. But that's the way this team plays, and that's what we have got to accept. That's the DNA of this team. Whether we like it or not, that's the coach. He makes the call. He wants to play that way. So yeah. We will.
But
chill.
he should. I think he should stick with the high line. To your point, he will stick, but I think he should stick with the high press. I wouldn't, Curtis. To your point, I wouldn't go into a low block against Bayern. Not because Barca are not traditionally not really low block defenders per se. We don't really have these. See, when Bayern flood the box, and they flood the box generally often with 5, 6, 7 players. Now, do we have the box defending and the height and the physicality with Peña in there, without Araujo in there? I don't think that we can defend a low block effectively. I don't think that's going to be our way to beat Bayern. So I think Flick will and should stick with a high press, because Bayern can be error prone in the build up, and there are ways for us to press them. I think we have been quite effective even today. That net around Sevilla, the speed at which we recovered the ball after losing it. So it was attack, lose the ball, Sevilla go long, we sweep up, immediately back into attack, and that is what we meant to be doing, and that's
they're
what
really perfected it. They drill it. They really practice that inside out, because that it happens in unison. It doesn't. It's like muscle memory. They know exactly this is what they need to do, and the whole team falls in that line. You can see it. So yeah, we'll live by the sword. We'll die by the sword. But this is fun, my guys. This is fun than those 1-0s any day. So I'll take it. It's fine. Even if we lose, it's fine. All right. So who do you think is the better wonderkid, Pedri or Musiala? I'll take this one because I understand football lesser. But and John will give the more nuanced answer. To me, they're different people. I think Pedri is the better playmaker. can dictate play a lot better from deep. Can also be a very good ball recoverer. Musiala is a better attacker. He's a better dribbler, better attacker, can cause a lot of problems. So I think that's fundamentally slightly different in the way they're used and where they like playing, where they enjoy playing, and so on and so forth. So I think they're both good. Any team would be, lucky to have players like that, and the fact that we have one and Bayern has one, we are two lucky teams. Dom, I can't do
Uh,
better than this. So I'll pass on to
I'm looking for my old notes. I can read you a report. My notes. I have like a see on Facebook. I message myself with like notes on players that I watch. I have a long note on John Musiala. I can't read all of it, but this is what I wrote a couple of years ago. Jamal Musiala is like a Thomas Miller clone in the sense that both their instincts, their thought processes, the way they attack space, the movement, spatial awareness are pretty much the same. He will redefine that second striker or 10 role. He is Miller's only true heir. Musiala is like a Miller with better athleticism and body fluidity who can string attacks or even start attacks out of nothing. Body profile wise, they're both different, but both think in the same way. Muller is close to a second striker, whereas Musiala is close to a number 10. So that there's a lot more, but that's my note to myself about 2 years ago on Musiala, and that's fundamentally the difference between Musiala and Pedri. Pedri is not a Miller clone. Pedri is no, he's not that kind of player. At least not yet. I mean, I tweeted during the game that Pedri can be whatever he wants to be, right? But I don't think that Pedri should be a Miller clone. I just don't think so.
Pedri shouldn't be a 10.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
just far more creative and he enjoys
Mhm.
playing where he plays. We should let him just do that. It's just nice to watch him.
Yeah. So yes, I agree with you. They're completely different players. Quality wise, it's very difficult to judge. To compare apples and oranges and all that stuff. I'm always gonna say Pedri because I think Pedri can actually. Well, he's a Barca player, so my heart says Pedri, and I have to say Pedri, but it's
Musiala is very good. Musiala is
it's
very
yeah,
good.
he is. I mean, fundamentally, it comes down to who can impact the game at a higher level more consistently, right? So that's what it's going to come down to because traditionally, of course, attackers get more plaudits, they get more of the spotlight, they get more of praise and hype and all that stuff. But Pedri is Pedri, and he gets the hype. He gets the people at the edge of their seat, even though he's not an attacker, right? Not per se, but he can influence the game. He can elevate the team. He can push the team higher, and I feel like that makes him just so valuable. But yeah, it's difficult to compare these two.
And a
Yeah,
hack for
definitely.
every one of you out there, if you aren't doing it yet, while you're watching, keep a diary, keep a pen, keep notes to yourself. That's what Dom does. You should do it too. All right. Let's move to the next one. All right. Van Lee has complaints about, he again wants to sell and buy, but before that, he has another point. What do you guys think about the midfield three will be on Wednesday and Saturday? Yeah, we debated about this, Dom, you and I. I still don't think Gavi is ready for
No,
90. I
no,
don't
no.
think, with what we heard today, De Jong's feelings were not right again, so he didn't make the squad. So I think it's this midfield that's going to be
Yeah,
pretty much. I think Casado was so good. We'll talk about Casado. So good throughout the game. In every single game, he does that thing so perfectly. Nothing more, nothing less. He just does that much, but it's so perfect. So it's good. And I think it'll be Pedri. And so yeah, I think what we saw today is what Flick will go with. But yeah, there'll be rotations that will happen. But because I just don't think they're ready. I don't think even Olmo is ready. He didn't even warm up today, so I don't think that any of them are going to play 90 minutes unless, yeah, of course, you will surprise or whatever. But that would be my take, Tom.
yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I was in all our review previews. I've put Olmo in the starting lineup. Now this today, not seeing him on the pitch at all, that kind of maybe changes things. I don't think it's difficult because do you start Fati then? Because Fati played today as well. If you want to have Rafinha in the number 10 role with Pedri and Casado behind them, then who starts on the left, right? There's no Ferran who would usually start ahead of Fati. Pau Victor, I don't know if he starts. So if this is going to be the lineup that we see on Wednesday, I still think Olmo will play. And if he's fit enough to play, he should play as well. And then He's
He's the
half.
Bayern antidote.
Yeah, he is. He truly is.
He's
I
the
mean,
Bayern killer.
yeah, he knows how to play against them, and he does that so well. So absolutely, if he's fit, and if has the right feelings,
Feelings.
to use to use the De Jong reference there, I think he
Oh,
should
our media
start.
is amazing. His
I know,
entourage, their
yeah,
feelings, it's all in third person, something in the
I know.
ether. There's no direct references to anything.
I know it's
Yeah,
it's weird, but yeah, I think Olmo, Pedri, and Casado should be the way to go if Olmo is fit. Now, if Olmo is not fit, it's difficult. Probably you have Rafinha in there, but who's the left winger then? Do you go for a Fati against Bayern? It's very difficult to say that because Fati doesn't. I wouldn't start him against Bayern. I wouldn't. As much as I love him and I want him to succeed, I
yeah.
wouldn't start him against Bayern. But then that kind of requires you to reshuffle the whole thing. Now, who do you put there? Do you change the whole system? I wouldn't change the whole system for that game to experiment against Bayern with a whole completely new system, different roles, different structure. I wouldn't go with that. So I think if almost fit, he plays, and that should be it, right? So it should be Olmo, Casado, Pedri, because Frankie coming in, yeah, he could potentially replace Casado, but he shouldn't. He shouldn't because he's not match sharp. He doesn't have the synergy with the rest of the team, and he just, there's so many question marks around him, his fitness overall as well. So I think Casado should remain in that position, even if the young is match fit,
Yeah,
if he has the
I
right
think so too.
feelings.
I think you keep that kid. He's just
Mm.
doing the thing that is asked of him pretty nicely. All right. Then there's another point. Hopefully we sign Nico and keep Rafinha. Almost never fit for long stretches. If they sell Rafinha to fund Nico, my head will explode. Vanley, we don't want your head to explode. We want you to be here every day when we are here because you are our greatest supporter. So we want you here, no head exploding. All right. That said, though, I will take this question in a different way. Yesterday, the AGM was passed, and some of you must have seen this, the numbers, right? And long story short is that we had to do a write-off of about 141 million euros, which was from the nebulous Barca Vision company, which nobody knows what it is, but is valued at 200 million dollars, right? Euros. And we had to do a write-off, which is we took the loss completely, right? And we had a loss this season. Now, what that means is that that money has to be refunded uh, in the next season for us to become 1:1. If you looked into what the board has provided, they have said that sponsorships and so on, which includes Nike, will bring in $75 million additional, which is great. Going back to Camp Nou will bring back about 25 million euros more. That's about 100 million euros, right? We're still short of 40, right? And until you do that, you won't be back to 1:1 because this is like current deficit, right? So until the books balance, we're not going to be 1:1. Now, how many players do we have to sell who can raise that kind of cash, right? So earlier in this season, if you have seen, we did a lot of smart sales. We sold a lot of kids, 8 million here, 10 million there, whatever, and we raised 80 million, right? And that helped us. If we can do that again, great. But if not, there is one big, like this time it was Gundogan. So we removed the salary, right? And we let him go. That was the main reason. Who is there? It is Frankie de Jong. It is Rafinha, because they're not going to sell Pedri, they're not going to sell Gavi, they're not going to sell Lamine, and Lewandowski. No, nobody's going to buy him. So who's left? So it may be their hands are forced and we sell, but not because of funding Nico, but because they have to sell to get back to 1:1, given the situation that we have. But having said that, I'll be very surprised if they do, because they didn't make him captain just like that. He's hardly been here. FC Barcelona, if you guys have been following the team as long as we have, right? There's a process. You have to earn that captaincy. You have to be there years and years and years, and then you get that band and you pass it on to the next one and the next one and the next one. That's how it happens. So if he got that, and he got that because the players wanted him to be, that means there's something. And let's not forget, Deco was his agent when he came in. Those things don't disappear in the sky. So it'll be hard pressed that if Rafinha lives like that, especially for the role that he's playing in the team. But that said, I think Barca will have to sell again to get back into 1:1. With that long answer, I'll pass it back to Tom.
So hopefully send Nico and keep Rafinha. Okay, I'll focus more on that. I'm not as informed with the with our finances as you are, Dev, and you understand that much better than I do. So I'll just keep it to who do we sell, who do we buy. We talked about this as well on our podcast. If Barca want to go for a big name next summer and they have somehow managed to get the finances in check to get a big name next summer, I don't I don't think it will be Nico Williams
No.
anymore. I feel like the Nico Williams chance was now because he was the more attainable player for that price that he was on the market. He was a very good buy. I think would have been a very good buy for Barcelona. Even I was the one who said, okay, yes, absolutely, I would go for Nico Williams. So I still stand for that. I think this summer was a good time to buy Nico Williams. However, next summer, if you do have the finances, go for a big player who will, be Laporta's big signing of the season and whatnot. It won't be Nico Williams. So if Barca do have the finances to spend and spend a bit more than you would have now, I don't think it will be Nico Williams anymore. Now, do you sell Rafinha? I mean, this current Rafinha, if Flick is still in charge next year, which we do believe he should be, especially if this continues, I don't think he will let Rafinha go. I mean, he loves Rafinha, and I mean he should. That's absolutely warranted. I mean, Rafinha has been so good and so clinical and so influential on and off the pitch, and as they've said, with the captaincy as well. I think, well, he is a sellable asset. He's becoming an asset that you don't want to sell, even though you can get money for him. So at this moment, I think I wouldn't go for that. I wouldn't sell Rafinha if it was up to me, and I don't think Nico Williams will be a realistic target moving forward if our finances are much better next year, which we are hoping they will be. Doesn't mean that we'll sign Haaland next summer or that we'll be able to sign Haaland next summer, but if Barca can go for a more finished product type of player who will be like instant impact type thing, I think they might look beyond Nico Williams. Although he would still make an impact, I'm sure of that.
All right. Balde needs to improve massively. He has all the tools possible to be the best FV in the world, but needs to read the game properly and attack and the blind man runs. Yes, he does. Absolutely. Balde is awesome, but Balde has a lot to learn and a lot to improve to be really elite in that sense. I think he has also got to improve all his cutbacks. He's not very good in that. But yeah, he has the energy. He has the pace. He's young, so he can be molded and he can be taught probably and so on. And along with that, so yeah, that'll be interesting from that perspective. But Dom,
I think if we really want to go for a left winger who can boss the whole flank, who can be the wide person, who can be the dribbly creator type, I think that kind of eases Balde's transition to the elite player, because then in that scenario you don't need Balde to hold the whole flank by himself, right? And that he shouldn't be responsible for that. But what bothers me the most with Balde, it's not the attacking things. We talked about this a lot. Yes, they are annoying, and he should be much better at that, because he's been put in that role to be there constantly and be the distributor and creator for the team, and boss the whole flank, which he shouldn't be doing, but that's his task now, so we have to live with it. What I find more frustrating is that he's kind of, I don't want to say regressing, but he's kind of not advancing in the things that he's meant to be good at, right? So the things that, like progression, like defensive, rest defense tools and all that stuff, he should be much better at that. That's my biggest concern with Balde. However, what I saw today was actually a template of what I've been talking about for a long time, when I said Balde has 3 ways to improve or change, and one of those ways was to actually have him invert into the half spaces, and instead of being a very wide presence, he should be start deep and then go kind of diagonally inside, or maybe slide wider and then invert inside. And we saw that today. We saw it today in a couple of sequences where Balde would start wide, but he would get the ball and he would cut inside with the ball, invert, and then he would find Pedri, he would find Casado between the lines, and that was, to me, that's the template for Balde. In theory, to put it very, very plainly, when you do that to a player, when he inverts, you shorten that distance for his distribution, right? So his pass selection is much, much easier. So in that sense, I think that's what Balde should be doing a lot more now. He shouldn't be a very high and wide presence on the left. He should be someone who maybe starts there or starts a bit wider and deeper and then cuts inside and dribbles that way. And he's been quite successful when he's inverting lately, which to me is a good sign. And I think that should be the template for him. Just ease his deliveries because his deliveries are not good from a very high and wide position. So don't force him into those positions. Put him in different positions. Let him invert, shorten that distance, easy angles for him because with your left foot, when you come into the box, you have a straight path to make those passes right into the box, deadly passes, incisive passes, if you will, or find, as was the case tonight, find players between the lines like Pedri and other key players who will drop into that zone 14 that Dev likes to mention. So I think
Yes.
that's there you go. So I think that's kind of what we should be doing with Balde. But yeah, it's we've been talking about this a lot, so I don't want to
All
go
right,
into
Dom. Question
all.
for
Yeah,
you: if you get Davies, would you play Balde at right back? Xavi experimented with this, but his runs would clash with Lamar.
I would play Balde at right back regardless of Davis. That's one of the things that I've been talking about. That's to this day that's the most how would I put it? That was the most controversial take I ever had on Twitter, and I had to first mute that tweet and then delete it because I was getting like messages to my inbox, people saying that they will murder me and stuff like that. So that wasn't nice. When I said that Balde should be a right back as well, um, I still believe that's one of the ways to kind of kickstart his development. I think that the angles of delivery and how he gains access to the winger ahead of him, the midfielders next to him, I think that would ease the angles for him. I think he would improve as a right back. I think he would start off slow, but this would kickstart his development. I still believe that there's a right back in Balde somewhere. Now, obviously, I don't think that will happen. If Davies does come, I don't think he will. If he was to come, um, I don't think Flick would play Balde as the right back. I think it would probably be a rotation more likely. But is Davis coming? Is that a real thing? I don't think that's gonna
Where is
happen.
the money?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so and Kunde has been doing a good job at right back as well. And I don't think Balde's runs would clash with Lamine because Lamine will invert and Balde, even though he's left-footed, I think that initially as a right back he would overlap because that's where the space would be for him, right? He would have to go outside the player and into the space because if he go on to his left, if he goes to his left, in theory, he's going into central areas, and what's more congested is always going to be the central areas, right?
Yeah.
So he would naturally go where the spaces because that's the way that he dribbles. He doesn't dribble from a standstill. He's not a tricky and agile dribbler. No, he kind of kicks the ball and runs. That's his way of dribbling at the moment. So he would firstly go with the spaces. That's how I see Balde as right back. But yeah, it's a whole thought process, and I was going to write a whole piece on that. But we'll see if it ever becomes relevant again.
Oh, bye.
Yeah.
Shubham, do you guys think the most crucial player in Flick's ball is Casado? Without him, we would have been the same boring team like previous season. Yes, that pivot position is super important. It was Casado, it was Bernal, it's Casado, but it's not just that. It's he has this triangular setup. It's Kubarsi, it is Inigo, it is Casado or whoever's in that pivot position, and then it is Kunde, Lamine, Balde, Rafinha. It's these are all in triangles. If you see any Barca pass map, you'll understand it's very clearly it's a systematic way they play. It's all and it's always the same. So whoever's so Inigo always has the highest number of passes. You can check any pass map, any game report, and then you will have Marc Casado because he's playing right now. When it was Bernal. Who then do the connection. So it's a very, very those 5 people very critical for Flick's style of playing. And yes, you need a person who can play who can hold the ball, who can recycle the ball, which Casado does very perfectly. He doesn't do more, he doesn't do less, he just does what is required. And then obviously we've talked a lot about verticality and whatever, all of that stuff. But Flick's game plan obviously revolves around that central channel and minimum width of playing. Where once you have played out from the back, then you have 3 or 4 quick interpasses, and then you have people like Pedri and Olmo making the runs, finding the spaces, moving the half spaces, releasing the runners, and so on. And that's basically what makes it so fast. But that's basically my small point. There's a lots of questions, so Dom, I'll let you take a few minutes, and then we'll go to quite a few.
Yeah, I'll just be quick with this one. I don't think he's the most crucial player, but to have him now, when especially when Bernal is injured and you don't have many other options to fill that role effectively, that makes Casado just incredibly important. So
Yeah.
I think he's one of the key players. Is he the most crucial player? I don't think so. I don't think that he's the player that Flick sees as someone who's undroppable or someone who's never going to be replaced, someone who makes the whole team tick. I mean, he does make the whole team tick in a way. So he does do many things that are really good, and he has them. And the thing with Casado is he plays like a very experienced player, right? He knows things. He reads the game very well. He understands the game so much because he's been captain of the youth squads as well, time and again. And he has the mentality, he has the hunger, he has the psychological profile to be a Barca player, right? So that's kind of his main attribute, apart from the obvious technical qualities and all that stuff that he possesses, and the grit and the running and the tackling and being the counter pressing tool. All that is great, but it's in his head. Casado is a thinking player, and he's also a mentality monster. So that makes him very valuable. Right, next one.
All right, man, there is Ferran Torres to sell, and if stretching further, there's Ansu Fati. You're right. In theory, we can sell all of them, but it'll be very hard to sell Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati. The more difficult they are having, in their game, and not being able to score or express themselves in the right way, it'll be difficult for them to find teams who will be willing to pay for them. And if you look into the numbers, Ferran Torres we still owe Manchester City 15 million for Ferran Torres, still, after so many years. And he has got his whole amortization rolled. So making a profit on Ferran Torres is going to be super hard because nobody's going to pay $70 million for him anymore, right? So, and if they don't, we're going to take a loss. And that's a problem for us. So a reason why he's still there is because of that. So it'll be hard to sell him. And Ansu Fati, yes, theoretically we can sell, but how much will we get? And realistically speaking, if we sell this Ansu Fati, how much are we going to get, right? And so on. So theoretically possible, practically not very feasible at this moment until their form improves and they score goals, and then people are willing to, put the money on the table. That's basically what it is. I'll keep moving. I think this is interesting. I'll take this. Curtis says, I think Luis Diaz will be perfect if you have the money. He's more of a goal threat than Nico and is a dribbler too. Yeah, Luis Diaz will be perfect. He's got a fairly good goal threat. Though moving in from Liverpool will be super hard, I think. Extremely hard. I think Deco likes him as well a lot. So if we had the money, probably we will go for him. But I don't think we have the money. And I don't think we'll have the money in this season or the next. And then, as Dom said, if we ever have any money, I think Laporta is going to go for a Leao or a Haaland for his own election and all of that stuff. So he would be amazing, but I don't think we're going to get him. Dom?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, he's much better than people give him credit, right? I know people see a lot of flair, they see a lot of wastefulness from him, and they did compare him to certain players that have been Barca players in the past. But I think there's a much better player in there than given credit. Now, is he a realistic target? Someone who Laporta would actually go for if given the necessary money, and you would need funding for that. That transfer would probably be. I'm not sure what his contract situation is, but I think he would be quite pricey. But he is a proper modern day forward, right? He does have all the attributes. He's technical. He has good physical attributes. So I think there's a good player in there, just not for Barca at this moment, I don't think.
All right. There's one more interesting question, which is it possible for us to go to back three with Araujo by sacrificing a mid in big games? Really lacking in speed and physical forwards. Possible, yeah. Everything is possible in football. I don't think Flick will do it, though. I think he's pretty rigid in the way he wants to play. I haven't seen him change much across all these games that we have seen. But theoretically, yes, I can see why you are saying that this might be, and you're right. We do struggle, but I don't think he's going to do that. He's going to drop a mid by bringing Araujo in. But yeah, Dom.
I mean, who do you drop? You don't drop Pedri, you don't drop Olmo, you don't drop Casado. So it's tough. And Barca do play with a back three. It's just a different one. You see Koundé kind of dropping deeper and being the third center back in possession. So that happens. So we do have a back three. Now we don't have a back three with Araujo in it. So if you remove Kunde and put Araujo on the right back and then still have the same center back pairing, um, then that also disrupts the whole thing because Kunde and Lamine have a very good understanding. And if you break that, and if Araujo cannot do the same job that Kunde does of this marking Lamine, of being the utility for Lamine, being the distribution for Lamine, then you are again hampering yourself because you're making it much easier for the opposition to mark Lamine out of the game, which they will be trying to do moving forward. There's no question about that. So I think having a back three, sacrificing a midfielder, I think it changes too much. It changes too much for this structure, and this structure and the current system are working so far. So I don't think, as I've said, I don't think that Flick will do it, and I don't think he should be doing it. So
All
I
right,
would say,
another one. Shubham says, "Hey Tom, why do players who were sidelined under Xavi management are proving to be best under Flick, like Casado, Pablo Torre, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Martinez, etc.?" I'll take a 1 minute answer to this. It's not like they were sidelined or anything. The only difference between Flick and Xavi, to the largest extent, is that Flick played players out of position. Like Xavi played players out of position a lot more than Flick does. Flick actually uses them in their best, in where they fit, and that's why they perform better to a large extent. And that's been one of the fundamental differences between Xavi and Flick. The other reason is that Xavi still had some choices. Flick wasn't given any. Like, this was the team that he was given, so he had to make it work, and he has made that work. Like, there was nobody. Xavi still had Busquets. He played Busquets in that pivot position. So he went with what we had, and he's making it work. Just like, when we started, when we could not play Lamas, we would buy players from outside. We started playing La Masia players, and they became popular. It's kind of the same thing. But I won't say like there's, no conspiracy here. They were sidelined or here they come in. Don't think that way.
yeah, what Dev said basically. We've been talking about this for a long time. Every video that we have, I always say profile distribution, and that's my favorite thing to say about Flick. It's always profile distribution. It's always how you play to your players' strengths, right? How do you maximize their strengths? Do you play in a style of play that actually uses your profiles well, or are you forcing a style of play on your players? I think that was what Xavi tried to do. He had an idea in his head. Okay, this is how we play football. This is how my Barca will play, and I will shoehorn these players into those positions to make it work. It didn't work, right? So what Flick is doing is he's being vertical, but he's actually looking at his players. He's like, okay, this is the way I will use verticality. This is the way I will not be vertical when I don't need to be, and so on and so forth. So yes, it's just using the players to the best of his knowledge and to the best of their profiles, and that's about it. But also, Flick is a very, very good man manager. I think we've seen that so far. The whole culture has kind of changed, and that's not again a diss on Xavi or anything. It's just that Flick knows how to create that. He just has that experience. He just has that knowledge and know-how, and he commands that respect. I always felt like from the interviews, I always felt like Xavi was their friend, but Flick comes in and he's like, okay, I'm the
The
boss
boss.
here. Yeah, I'm the boss, and
The boss.
so I think that also comes with experience because you have to earn that. Respect is not given; it's earned. And Flick comes in and he demands respect immediately. So I think, yeah.
All right. Kubarsi's so good, but he's not noticed much by fans like Lamine. He'll never be. That's the thing. Like, that's what you get when you are a forward, striker, and you play goals and you do fancy things. People talk about you, but it would be wrong to say that Kubarsi is not noticed. I don't think there's a single coach in the world who's not noticing what he does, and some of the biggest coaches have talked about him and mentioned him and so on. So I think it's very much noticeable, but he'll never be. Yeah, you will have, $450 €50 jerseys for Kubarsi. That's not going to happen. That's for Lamine Yamal. That's what's happened when you are a striker or you're a 9 or a 10 and you play for a big club. That's basically what it happened. So it's just what it is. But Kubarsi is outstanding. We have really struggled with Pau Kubarsi. We're so freaking lucky because buying a defender of that caliber would cost in hundreds of millions of dollars, which we saved fully.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just the curse of being a defender, especially in modern football, where all the spotlight is always going to be on attackers, and Lamine is always going to get more headlines than Kubarsi, and that's just the way it is. But it doesn't mean that Kubarsi is not getting the recognition. I see a lot of praise on Kubarsi on the timeline on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever. People are noticing Kubarsi. It's just that it doesn't sell as much. They've said it doesn't sell. Hyping up a defender doesn't sell as much as hyping up an attacker. Just the way
Same
it
reason
is.
why goalkeepers don't win Ballon d'Ors. Some of them are really good. Like think about Madrid. Think about Bayern. They have
Mhm.
won big champions because of the goalkeeper, but they never win anything.
Mhm.
But it's just what it is. You want to be famous, be a striker in a football team. Fastest way. Anyway, Shubham says watching Vitor Roque play lately made me realize he is the goat, having the body of Harry Maguire and skill of Anthony. Shubham, I don't understand. What are you like? Is that a question? Is that a statement? Is that a point of view? You
No,
can
he's just making fun of Vitor. Okay, to be fair, I do like Harry Maguire. Anthony
Ah,
is a
he's
case for
good. Come
himself, but Harry
on.
Maguire is much better than people giving credit. One of
Yeah.
those players that is underrated. Yeah, big head and all that, but still good. I think still good. But Vitor, okay. See tonight with the Ansu Fati role, I think Vitor Roque plays that role. I think he plays that role as well. It's just it wasn't to be for Vitor Roque. We talked about it a lot, so I don't want to go into it too much, but that's
Yeah,
just how it
and
is.
it'll be hard, guys. Like him and Ferran Torres are the two big player transfer um, debts we have in quite a few millions. So, and that's holding some of the one is to one conversation that's happening right now. So yeah, it'll be hard, and it's sad because we feel bad for him, but hopefully he enjoys his time at Betis. It's hard. It's hard to go through what he has gone through, whatever his quality is, and so on. So hopefully he has some fun at Betis. He can come good and he can have a good career there. And that's
Yeah.
it. Okay. Elume says, I think Barca should go for Gores, who is 60 million. As you can combine with other players like Lewandowski, I prefer him than any other striker on the market. Yes, we've been talking about strikers. There's quite a few actually. Jonathan David, Gores, quite a few. Suddenly, there's a lot of names in the market that are being discussed in terms of who can come to Barca. But Barca are in such a condition right now with the monies that they have. I doubt they can. And then this is what John said very nicely in one of our podcasts. Like, who's a ceiling raiser? Are these like insane ceiling raisers on top of what we already have? Right? Will they completely change the makeup of the team? Probably no. Haaland can. Haaland will cost also insanely. But I think if you really think about strikers who can come and replace Lewandowski, there's probably one Haaland, I think, who can really make that step change. But uh, I'm not saying Akra is not good. He's great. Sesko is also good. He's great. John Davis, everybody's great. Awesome. Great players.
hmm Um, I don't know enough about this player to tell you if Barca should go for him or not. 60 million sounds like a lot. He is in his prime years, and he would not be a project type player, which Sheshko would probably be. I don't know. I would rather go for someone like Sheshko though, because it just seems so much potential in him. Of the more established players, that I would take as ceiling raisers. Okay, Haaland, obvious pick, but everyone wants Haaland. That's easy. I think Victor Osimhen was one that would
Yeah.
spearhead the attack really well, and people are gonna rage with this, but I think Darwin Nunes is a fantastic pick for Barcelona. I think I would go for those three players, like established strikers that cost a lot of money. Those three would be on my list of the project players. Sheshko has to be in there. He just has to be. Now I don't know. Jonathan David, who else was mentioned? I don't know, but none of these players really come in apart from the other three that I mentioned. As I've said, none of them come in and instantly raise Barcelona's ceiling, which is the problem. If you lose Lewandowski, you need someone who's going to come in and score a buttload of goals immediately. Like season one, scoring 15, 20 goals. That's what you need if you lose Lewandowski, right? So it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And I'll take this one because I think this is interesting. Yermai Hernandez. Yes. Yeah. We do know. Have we watched a lot of him? No. But yes, this is a name that gets talked about. Does have the profile, as you're saying. Um, will we move for him right now? Don't know, to be entirely honest. Profile wise, yes, he has that dribbling capacity, and so on and so forth. But again, comparing anybody to Neymar is hard, because I mean, Neymar's right up top there among the very best. It's another thing that his career went the way it did, but from a skill set perspective, there are very few players who can play like him, even today. Um, can he be a good squad player? He can possibly. Don't know about his transfer fee. Don't know how much it'll cost. What have you? Um, so yeah, can be, but will he? Don't know. Like Barca has so much of thin margins on what they can operate. I doubt they will take risks on anything except what they are very sure they want to bet on and then want to invest on, and that's what they will basically go with. But he's a good talent, for no doubt about that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it. I don't want to really want to comment, but it's there's just not that many players out there actually come to Barcelona and are meaningful signings. I think there's a lot of talent out there, a lot of talented players, young players, as Hernandez is. He's what 21 years old. So I think it's all nice and good to have a talent like that, but I just don't think that Barca can. Not every player can play for Barcelona. That's just that's all I'm gonna say for now, because I've not seen enough of him to give you a more informed opinion, unfortunately.
Okay, like Elume is saying, we should watch Chorus and learn. We will, 100%. And without knowing, we don't want to make a comment. As I said, I've watched very little of him. Right, he's good, but or But with that said, we do often scout players, and we do sessions and videos on them and so on and so forth. So yeah, when we do, we'll absolutely let you know, and then we can have a more informed decision or conversation about him. Shubham says, once we were offered 120 million for Ansu Fati, should we take these offers if they come along? I have a very radical point of view. I think any footballer for whom you get 150 million, you should take it, honestly. Because I mean, it's just how it is. That said, though, every team needs their franchisee players. So will we sell Lamine or Pedri or Gavi? I don't think so. Politically, we won't sell them. It's as simple as that. But should you take money like that if it's coming? Yeah, you should absolutely. If you're looking at it from a business point of view, you are, because you can always buy good players again, right? Are they the same style? No. But if you've got a good coach, you can make it happen. And you've seen that with Pep. He never stops a player from going. Whoever wants to go can go. He finds somebody, he finds a replacement, team plays the same, right? So yes, it is possible, and you should absolutely do that. But that said, the question is here, Lamine or Kubarsi, I don't think we're selling him. Tom?
Mhm. Yeah, you mentioned that was good. It's a political thing and kind of a cultural thing. It wouldn't really look well for a Barca that's a club that's based on La Masia, that's based on the academy, that's based on this story that brings up players, that molds players into superstars rather than buys superstars out there. I don't think it would sit well with the socios, it would sit well with the
Yeah.
fans to sell
Revolt.
Lamine. Of course, yeah, I know
Get
it would
out.
it would I think it would be kind of a blasphemy kind of thing. So yes, every player has a price. That's correct. I mean, it is correct. But then again, we saw what Barca are capable of doing when they do have money
Yeah.
burning in their pockets. So
It's actually
I,
Barca should never. Yeah, to your
yeah,
point.
yeah.
You just don't know how
So
to buy players. So
so yeah, I don't think
it's a
I
good
don't
thing
think
we
it's.
don't have money and nobody offers us money for our players.
Mhm,
That way we play like this, and this is the best way we play. All right. How does Flick solve the big space on the left side of the team? It's a big question, though. Everybody's watching it, and every day we also watch it, and with with a little bit of a concern that yeah, it's going to happen that side. We know it's going to happen, and it happens. And more often than not, it's the offside trap that saves us. And one day it won't, and that is the truth. It is. I'm not being negative. Somebody will tell I'm being negative. No, but it will happen that we will miss the trap, because it's normal sometimes. So yeah, they will get joy out of targeting there, because who wouldn't? If you were the coach and you saw that, wouldn't you target it? You would, right? Anybody would target it, but that's Flick's style of playing.
mhm.
um, will he adjust a little bit with Madrid and Bayern? I hope he does a little bit somewhere because I'm just scared that, if in the first 15 minutes when Barca are never off the gear, Barca take about 20 minutes to get into gear if you watch them play. In those 15 minutes, if we concede, right, in that high line, then it can get difficult. It can get really difficult to overturn that result, as we saw with Osasuna, right? Same thing. Yeah, lots of rotations. I understand, not the same team. I understand, but once you concede that many in the beginning of the game, it's very hard to come back, especially against teams like Bayern and Real. So yeah, I hope he finds his answer. I don't know what that answer is, to be honest. I just don't think he wants to change the way he plays, right? And
Mm.
unless you change the way you play, that will stay. That's not going anywhere. You can Iñaki can come out and do sweeping, which he does these days, which is comical because he cannot sweep, so it looks very funny. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge. That the team has to fall back. The team has to be prepared to run and spring that trap whenever it's required.
Yeah, I think so too. Flick won't change, and he shouldn't change. You can't have both, right? You can't have a high pressing team that suffocates the opposition, that pins them down, that sustains pressure well, controls both on and off the ball phases, and then also have the stability in the back line with a mid to low block that's very compact and very very stable and non risk averse. You can't have that, right? The way that we play football, it just comes with the territory, right? The way that Flick sets up, he's aware of that. He knows that there are kinks in his armor, that there's spaces there to be exploited that will get exploited eventually. But he's taking that risk, and he will gladly, I mean, not gladly, but he will sacrifice a couple goals sometimes here and there if that gets him the necessary attacking output and the sustained pressure and all that we do in possession, and all of that is enabled by our off the ball, which is obviously very risky and just comes with the territory. I think we won't see any or well many or any changes for the upcoming two games, and that may we may learn the hard way that we have to sometimes adapt.
Yeah,
Maybe, I don't
I
know.
think
We'll
so.
see.
I think so too.
Yeah. So
Somewhere we will suffer, and then we will find the solution for that, and so on.
mm,
Hopefully, it doesn't happen against Bayern and Madrid, because somebody was saying that we have PTSD against Bayern. I completely agree with them with that person. We
yeah.
do have
Mhm.
PTSD against Bayern. They always win. They always win against us. 13 is to 2. Yeah, it is terrible. Uh,
It
we
is.
should not do that against them. Anyway, we'll see what happens. All right, now we'll take a fun question. You guys should join the Barca analytical team. We should. 100%. We're totally qualified to do that. If Barca, you are listening, please hire us. I can leave my job in Google, and Dom can quit being a teacher, and we can move to Spain, which we would love, and just do
Yep.
this all along. Right? That'll be
Yep.
super fun, but nobody's giving us a job yet. So we will do this for free, and hopefully we'll have some fun in the process. All right, and we'll take the last two questions on this, and then we've been going for a while. All right,
Yeah. Let's go.
Shuam says, answer me this. When Messi, Ronaldo, and likewise players were playing, we never saw them getting injured and missing most of the game. But nowadays, every now and then, players are unfit. Why? It's a very complex question. I think finding professionals like Messi, Ronaldo is very hard, very hard. The longevity, right? And even people like even Busquets, right? When was he injured? I don't know when he was injured, honestly. But they put an enormous premium on wanting to play, and then they did a lot. Like they wanted to play 70 games in a season. They still got injured from time to time, but not like what you see. But that said, like today, there are lots of games and so on. So it's a very difficult question to answer. Depends on so many things. A person's genetic make, a person how much effort they have put in, a person's so many things go into it. It's hard to say. It'll be, and we're not from sports science. We're not from sport nutrition. We don't really know, to be entirely honest. Too. So to comment on that would be silly. But we have seen uh, the effort, the consistency that those two put in. I don't think there's a player like that right now. I don't think
Mm.
there's a single player like that with that level of consistency or that grit that I will play every game. I want to be everywhere right now. No, just not there.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's I think a good answer. It's the number of games, yeah, definitely a big change from before to now. We just seem to be getting more and more football, even though the players don't want it. But yeah, they don't have that choice because football has become more, but like a business, right? It's just a business. It's not really just a sport; it's a business. But then again, yes, Ronaldo and Messi, they both have different traits. So Ronaldo is he's just a machine. He's a machine. The way that he eats, the way that he trains, everything is
Outstanding.
everything. Yeah, it's outside. It's just the way it is. He's just wired that way, and then his body is his temple. Just fair and square. Whereas Messi, he did have that one big injury when he was young, but then after that it was kind of smoother sailing, and that's partly because Messi is very good at managing his own body. Like during games, even we know that he walks a lot. We know that he doesn't exert himself too much when he doesn't have to. So I think in that sense, he's very good at dosing himself when he needs to. So he's very capable, but also he also puts in a lot of work. I mean, people don't see it, people don't really acknowledge it as much because they feel Messi is all talent, but it's not all talent. Messi works really hard as well, and that shows in the longevity as well. So
It was
that's
very
kind
hard.
of
All right, final question. And we discussed this earlier. In my opinion, Haaland is not Barca profile kind of player. He just doesn't know how to combine with teammates. We agree with you, right? We don't think he's the
mm,
Barca so-called DNA kind of a player. But you know what? Barca is also about winning. And when you have a player like that who can score goals like the way he does, I think Barca will take it. I think the fans will take it. I think Laporta is going to take it. And as long as you can feed him in the box, which we have many players to do, he will score a boatload
mhm.
of goals. And you know, any
Yeah.
president will want that. Is he the style? No, he isn't. You're absolutely right. He's not. But he won't have to combine much. He just has to sit on that box, which what Lewandowski is doing these days, and he'll be fed, and he can just have a great time.
Mm.
So
And yeah, I agree. And I think that even if you look at the players like now, Lewandowski, in his prime, he was a much different player than Haaland, right? He was the much more combinatory player, they would say, as the Barca DNA kind of player. But now we don't want Lewandowski to be that, right? You just want him to sit in the box, maybe move a little bit deeper to just make those overloads, make me drag players here and there. You don't want Lewandowski on the ball too much in the deep areas. The same way that you don't want Haaland in those areas on the ball too much. So I don't think that would be that big of a problem. If all we're asking of Lewandowski is to stay in the box and score goals, Haaland does that really well. So that's all you would ask of Haaland as well. I mean, yes, here and there he would have to drop deep, maybe lay off a ball. He'd be the target man because we do use those long balls into Lewandowski. Haaland can also do that. And he will also sprint, half the pitch, and he will outrun everyone, and he will just knock the goalkeeper at the side and score goals. I mean, just simple as that. So I think, yes, again, you are right because he's not the false nine or combinatory nine that we are maybe used to, and from Barca of old. But he doesn't really need to be. I don't think so, especially with Flick at the helm. So I don't see it as that big of a problem.
all right. This is the final thing because we've been going for a long time and we have discussed it. But I'll take this one and then we'll have to bid adieu to all of you awesome people. Are you confident of the offside trap against Bayern? 60% probably. That's all I would say. Hopefully it works, guys, because if it doesn't, we are in for a road shock. And that's all I would say because they have great players and they won't do what Sevilla did today. They'll score and they will wait and they'll perfect that. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Because if it happens, we'll all be very sad, and then we'll come on the show, and then we'll rant in sports, and we'll say this was wrong, and Flick got that wrong, and everything is wrong, and that's what we will do. But hopefully, so that doesn't happen, and we can have a good time. And it's going to be a hard, week coming up, a week that can be very emotional. Depending on how we go. So if we lose, we'll all be upset and angry and whatever, and then we'll come and rant. And in Barca, everything is like at extremes, so it'll be extreme emotions that'll happen. And if we win, then we are at the top of the world because we have already won everything. Like we have won the Champions League, we have won the league, everything has been done next week. So it's either of those two that's going to happen, but we will be covering that. So Dom's coming out with a very detailed preview on the Bayern game, full tactical analysis. So all of you guys who love tactics, data analysis, all of that stuff, go follow him. He's going to bring it out, I think, in a couple of days. So please do read it. I'll be covering most of the reviews of the games and so on and so forth. We'll also do the live sessions. after both the games. So look forward. There's a lot of content coming out this week. Follow us, cheer us, tell us where we're wrong, make us better, whatever, all of that stuff. And thank you for all of us joining 2,500 today. This is awesome. Thank you very much. Again, we are just like two guys like you. The fact that you guys come and listen to us, that itself, like, we're like, why, what? So we often think about that, or how that happens. But thank you. We are very grateful for this. Very grateful for this. So, okay. And yeah, that's it. As we say, take care. See you on the next one. 2 days from now after Bayern. And bis